told you I had a magic elixir, one that could prevent and reverse almost every chronic disease, one that could solve the healthcare crisis, one that would bring more compassion into the world, an elixir that could help heal the planet's devastation, slow the destruction of the ozone layer, stop rapid deforestation and desertification, prevent dead zones from growing in the oceans, clean up our air, save millions of gallons of water a year, and slow the extinction of thousands of species. What if I explained that my elixir would save billions and billions of animals a year and prevent their pain? That it could help feed the hungry throughout the world, that it encourages peace, community, and benevolence. This potion, it's free of cost, and there's plenty for everyone. Would you believe me that it exists? Would you be shocked at its simplicity, mesmerized by its obviousness, eager to try it? Already implementing it? Would you be frustrated that nobody told you this information prior to now, like I myself was, when as a teenager I randomly stumbled across this brilliant book by John Robbins called Diet for a New America that changed my life forever? Indeed, this elixir exists everywhere, and it is perhaps one of the sole commonalities we share amongst all the living on Earth. It is readily available to most, and I know with confidence that it is the most potent possibility we have to save our future, that of our species, our planet, and life as we know it. Okay, granted, this may seem hokey. At first, my proposal may seem implausible, but hear me out, and then decide. Eating a whole food, plant-based diet is this magic elixir, the secret ingredient to achieving all of these extraordinary outcomes. Sustaining yourself on vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds can and will provide all the aforementioned benefits. Health is considered the absence of disease, yet medicine is founded upon the principles of treating symptoms. Somehow over the centuries, prevention has been transferred from a primary ideology to alternative, and even inconsequential. Diet has been largely ignored in traditional healthcare systems. Physicians rarely even ask you what you eat or about your diet when you come in for a checkup or for a specific complaint. When I was a kid, I used to get these horrible, horrible, agonizing stomach aches, and I'd be bowed down in pain, and my parents would rush me to the emergency room. And I spent hours in the ER, and I spent hours with my doctors and in the gastroenterologist's office, and I got pills and potions and powders and medications and a lot of shrugged shoulders. They just didn't know what was wrong with me. So I suffered for years, just having no idea. Finally, somehow, coincidentally, I went to a doctor, an allergist, and found out I had all these allergies to the foods I was eating on a daily basis. But nobody ever asked me what I was eating. Nobody, not one of those doctors asked me what I ate, but my stomach was killing me. The reason for this is largely due to what is taught in medical schools and the inability for physicians to spend adequate time with their patients. When my husband was in medical school, I sat in. I had the luxury of sitting in on his nutrition class, and I happened to be in grad school for nutrition at the time. Fascinating, but I was awestruck and dumbfounded to witness that the focus and entirety of this nutrition education in this critical department was boiled down to treatment of deficiency. So essentially, medical students are advised to seek out deficiency symptoms. So you've got rickets, give them vitamin D. You have goiter, give them iodine. Yet nutrition is so much more than that. The most perfect diet is a duality. What you do eat, and also what you don't eat. Also, it's on a spectrum. So the more health-promoting foods that you consume, and the fewer health-damaging foods you consume, the more you arm your health. Who loves Wonder Woman? Go Wonder Woman. You are what you eat, at a cellular level, an immunological level, at a holistic sense. You are also connected to nature, other humans, even other species via the food that you consume. In fact, the only way that the outside world gets inside of your body is through your food, essentially. You are what you eat refers to what happens to food once it enters your body. So let's break that down at a cellular level. You are composed of approximately 10 to 50 trillion cells, give or take several trillion, most of which regenerate. A constant state of dynamism, just flowing, changing, moving. Even your bones, we think of the bones as static, stagnant, hard bones, but even they are in a constant state of flux, exchanging, releasing, absorbing minerals. Okay, a disclosure. The brain, heart, and kidneys do not, unfortunately, regenerate. But think of the possibilities if you are constantly reinventing most of yourself all of the time. We now have an abundance of irrefutable scientific data in the literature confirming that a whole food plant-based diet is ideal for optimal health, that it helps your cells, organs, and body stave off chronic disease, achieve and maintain ideal body weight, enhance exercise performance, and thrive throughout the lifespan, and in extraordinary ways too. I've seen this in my nutrition practice since I implemented this protocol over the last 5 or so years. And in the last year and a half, I had 2 really special opportunities to see this in a grander sense. The first of which was last spring, when as executive director of EarthSave International, we took 21 food bank clients through a whole food plant-based program for 28 days in Sacramento at the food bank. And these people were afflicted with a lot of chronic illnesses, they had debilitating symptoms, and we educated them. We taught them how to shop for food, how to prepare the food, how to exercise, but everything was in a very sustainable way. And after the whole program was done, 28 days, everyone completed the challenge, with enthusiasm, I might add, and the results were astounding. They lost an average of 17 pounds, their total cholesterol dropped by 18%, their LDL, their bad cholesterol, dropped by 22%. Average blood pressure went from 138/83 to 129/77 without medications. In fact, we had an 84% reduction in prescription medication use. Thank you. It was extraordinary. They even had an overall increased sense of energy and a decrease in chronic non-specific complaints, abdominal pain, heartburn, constipation, diarrhea, joint pain, migraine headaches. It was incredible. My second opportunity was in October when I was asked to be on the Dr. Oz show. There we took 3 women who had excess weight, they had high blood pressure and high cholesterol, and we put them on the prehistoric diet, that he called it. And they spent 2 days in a zoo eating raw fruits and vegetables. And then when they went home, we added back cooked vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds, just to boost their repertoire of choices. And after a total of like 4 or 5 days, they lost an average of 4 pounds. They lost their LDL cholesterol dropped by 42 points in just 4 or 5 days. And all 3 of their blood pressures normalized. You are indeed what you eat. But you are also how you eat. Let's break that down at a more logistical level. Most people consume about 3 meals a day, give or take a snack or 2 here and there. Thinking about food before we consume it is not something most of us spend a lot of time doing as we rush to grab a quick bite, eat on the run, eat larger than ever portions, hence the epidemic success of the fast and convenience foods as we, food industries, and as we forget to chew even our food well enough. We are typically reactive with our eating, contemplating how delicious the meal was, or complaining of being full or having heartburn. Or further down the line, you may end up with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or gout, all of which are foodborne illnesses. However, what if we ate proactively instead of reactively? Thinking about everything that goes into the making of your food, all the way from the seed to the plate. Conscious eating, intentional eating. Consider the opportunities if every bite you consume matters in so many ways. If you plan what you'll eat and relish your food as you prepare and consume it, you are eating proactively instead of reactively. I argue that eating a whole food plant-based diet is inherently, innately proactive, and that it is the most powerful way we have to control so many variables: our health, the state of the planet, the suffering of animals, and on and on and on. And it's something we can do on average 3 times a day. Here's an example. When you're invited to someone's house for dinner, you would typically ask to be polite, can I bring a dish or an ingredient? And they may say the customary no thank you. So you might bring a bottle of wine or some flowers as a token of your appreciation. But what if you're invited to a plant-based potluck, which is pretty common in the plant-based community, as you guys probably know? But would someone that's unfamiliar with this world think differently about what they would contribute to this meal if it was plant-based versus traditional? They may have to research what types of ingredients are okay that they can use that are appropriate and animal-free. They may have to shop for ingredients they've never seen before. Or maybe they can concoct a delicious dish from the ingredients they already had in their kitchen. They may actually love this new meal that they come up with. On the flip side, they may already have preconceived notions about what a plant-based meal is. There's soup or veggie chili or veggie burgers, pasta primavera, curry stew, or bean and rice burrito. There's so many plant-based dishes that just are naturally plant-based. There is something extremely conscious and intentional about preparing a plant-based dish. Often, I hear people recant their tales of trying to make a recipe and finding out that something unsuspecting uses an animal ingredient in its processing, like sugar, which typically uses bone char as a filter, or wine, which commonly uses isinglass or fish swim bladders in its processing. But these stories of insight are most always associated with a positive learning process for the people that have told me them. I also regularly see my clients, my students, and readers who are slowly or even rapidly adapting to this lifestyle notice that there's an abundant community out here, a sense of belonging, of doing something beneficial for the world, and appreciating how uplifting and empowering that is. Food is culture, tradition, history, love, nourishment, comfort, medicine. Essentially, food unifies mind, body, and spirit. I feel like having, I'm in the mood for, I want. But it is also much greater and grander than the self. Food unifies the earth, water, sun, with you. A seed is planted, the sun, the water helps it grow. It ends up on your plate, you consume it. It goes through your gastrointestinal tract and gets absorbed into your bloodstream where it becomes a part of you. And ultimately, it ends up back in the earth in a beautifully symbiotic, harmonious, and cyclical way. Food also unifies people. We enjoy meals together. We make business deals while eating. We teach our children social norms and customs while feeding them. We celebrate holidays over festive foods. We unite culture with cuisine. Breaking bread has many historical and biblical connotations, but simply defined, breaking bread means eating together, dining together. Imagine breaking bread with every single bite you consume, knowing the multiple levels and layers to which you are interconnecting simply with your fork. I challenge you to consider not only what you eat, but also how you eat. Eat with intention, awareness, and consciousness. Change your world and your interconnectivity with others by basing your diet on whole plant foods. Thank you.